Kevin Costner's new epic Western Horizon, an American Saga, Chapter 1. I believe of at least 3 chapters. There's another couple to come, possibly more. 3 hours plus, 3 hours, 1 minute. This is Kevin Costner going back to the Old West, doing what he does best, telling an epic, expansive movie, which feels like a novel because there's so many different characters, there's so much going on, and it all revolves around this town of Horizon, which when we start the film is just a settlement with a couple of tents deep in the heart of Native American territory. So we got that element going on as well. And it starts to tell the story about the certain characters that are going to play a big part in the development of the town and what happens there, whether they be settlers, rustlers, gunslingers, or Native American warriors. There's lots of different characters to sort of get our teeth stuck into in this first chapter. And it very much serves as that. An opening chapter introduces the characters, sets up all the world that it's going to be taking place in, and kind of ends with a almost next time on Horizon sort of montage at the end, which probably threw a few people because you're not sure whether to think, is this just a montage of the next movie or is this supposed to be a part of this first film? It gets a bit confusing. But overall, as a Western, because they don't make many Westerns anymore, incredibly well made, very beautiful to look at, fantastic music, really good performances from people like Sienna Miller, who I haven't seen in anything for quite a while, so it's nice to see her. Sam Worthington's in there, Jena Malone. Yeah, lots of different... Danny Houston was in there as well. Always good to see him. He's good. But yeah, really expansive and, you know, for fans of Westerns, really brilliant. I mean, we went into the theatre, there was only a handful of people in there, most of them had white hair. Apart from the very young couple that were sitting down near us, and obviously me, you and Kath, there was, you know, some really old granddads, really. I suppose you'd expect with a Western. I can't imagine there's many teenagers or early 20-somethings, Gen Z or late millennials that enjoy Westerns, really. But, you know, I think you can depend on Kevin Costner for a film like this. He's done some great jobs in the past, things like Wyatt Earp and, of course, Dances with Wolves. It's a fantastic film. Also, Open Range, very good Western from a few years ago with Robert Duvall. So I really enjoyed this one. What did you think of it, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, it was good. I enjoyed it. I say it looked beautiful. This is classic Western territory. Kind of telling this very expansive tale. It's really made up of about 3 plot strands, isn't it? You know, and you're kind of following them throughout the film. And they're all enjoyable and a great cast, great performances. They're interesting stories. It perhaps stretches it too thin, maybe. But this is a big epic tale. I think where this falls down, because I think it's very good and very enjoyable, but what falls down is you got these 3 plot lines, and this is 3 hours long. They never intersect.
Not yet.
But I think that's a problem. I think it probably becomes more enjoyable as these intersect, and probably, I'm assuming, chapter 2, right? And that's coming out next month. But because they never intersect in this film, it feels like all the stuff we watch has no resolution.
Mm.
And that's quite hard to do in a 3-hour film,
Yeah.
right? Because you almost feel like, well, nothing's moved.
No.
And that's the trickiest part of it. I think this film becomes more enjoyable as we get the next film. And I think that's going to be like kind of the test of it. And it's interesting, obviously, you kind of allude to like the next time kind of thing. I mean, a lot of people have mentioned this, and we mentioned this afterwards. It almost feels like, you know, there's 3, potentially 4 parts to this, each of them 3 hours long, right? And it does kind of feel like this probably should have been a series, a TV series, and break it up a bit, and tell that story that way. And that might have helped it more, but I know Costner was very keen to get this on the big cinema screen. And in some ways, that's very well deserved because the cinematography of it is
gorgeous.
Just gorgeous. And the budget, you can tell, is there to do, the raid scene we'll describe from the beginning is just amazing to witness. And there's some incredible performances in there about the family and the fear and the parents and all that kind of stuff. It's just tremendous storytelling. And I think each one has got a really interesting story. The stuff with Kevin Costner's character and the woman he meets and that story in front is really intriguing. Very interesting pattern of play going on. So it's not like any of the stories are bad and it's all great. I think it's very difficult because it feels elongated and not going anywhere so far. And I think that's where the criticism is coming from, and people not enjoying it so much. But for all its other parts, every other some of its parts is fantastic. It's classic Western territory. Looks great, music's great. It's and it's a shame really that younger people aren't buying into it as well. Like it seems like it is, as you say, it's an older audience going for this. I'd be interested to see what that's like in America, in like Texas and states that would be more aligned with Westerns. It'd be interesting to see what the demographics are there. But yeah, across here, it doesn't seem to have that audience, which is it's a bit of a shame, really.
Yeah.
But I also guess in some ways it's not got a big Kevin Costner. We enjoy Kevin Costner, but I guess for a younger audience, who's Kevin Costner, right? Apart from the guy from Yellowstone, which again no kids are watching.
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't have that big Ryan Reynolds or whoever, someone in there where it's like, oh, I'll go watch the new, and maybe it could have done that. Maybe it could have gone, oh, we'll get a big name in to play a role.
Yeah.
But all in all, enjoyable, very enjoyable, and I do want to see the second part because I think the judgment will come on that second part.
I mean, from that montage at the end, which basically previews the second film, it does look like, right, everything's going to come together now. Very much like we said about the first part of Dune, where it set up a lot of stuff. The difference being, though, and I agree with you here, is that Dune felt like a film that was self-contained. If they never made the sequels, you could still watch that, and there was a beginning, a middle, and an end. Whereas this felt a bit more like setting everything up and then ended, just giving you that taster of next time. I also agree that I think that payoff will be on the next installment where things really do sort of come together. So those that did go out to see this film and really enjoy it have got something, very much to look forward to there. But I also agree with this idea of it would have possibly been better as a series, hour episodes, 9 of them instead of 3-hour films, because it did feel like that. It felt so expansive. It was like watching something like Yellowstone or, Game of Thrones or anything else where there's a lot of it and there's a big story to tell here. So why not, because these big budget series now, they've got movie budgets anyway.
Yeah.
You watch a lot of stuff like that and it's just like watching a movie in terms of its production values. So he possibly could have done that, and it might hurt a little bit that the numbers are down in terms of people going out to see them. But I bloody loved it. I mean, 3 hours didn't feel like 3 hours to me. I do like Westerns, though. I've always liked them since I was young. I really like Kevin Costner when he does a Western. As I remember when he did Wyatt Earp, and Tombstone had come out just before it, and I actually, in the old days, I used to prefer his Wyatt Earp than I did. I think that's changed now over the years. I've had more and more appreciation for Tombstone as a film, but Costner's was a little bit more realistic. It was a little bit more sort of grounded in, it didn't feel quite as bombastic as Tombstone, but that's kind of its appeal,
Yeah.
It's much more quotable, and it's got all those great character actors in it. But I still love Costner's Wyatt Earp. I love Dances with Wolves, one of my favourite ever films. Still will always be his crowning achievement for me. And as I say, Open Range as well. He definitely knows this territory. He knows how to make a Western because that's tried and tested. So that's why I was looking forward to going to see this one anyway. I will go and see the next part. I'm looking forward to it mid-August on the big screen. But yeah, I agree with those points you made though as well. That it possibly could have been better as a series.
I think just because of it's a lot to ask of an audience.
It is a modern audience. Maybe not in the 70s or even the 80s, but nowadays it's too much. It's too much to ask.
And I think it's interesting the Dune comparison there, because I think that's an interesting point, because of course Dune was made without the promise of a sequel being made. It was like, we'll see how part 1 does. So there was no part 2 made.
Well, Kev's put his own money up for this though. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to go and support it, because when an artist's like George Harrison did with Life of Brian and stuff, when people put up their own house and stuff to make these films, you think, well, at least you can do as a lifelong fan is go and support them. If we could have gone and done that and it was an awful film, I won't go and see the next part. I wouldn't just go because you want to support someone. It's still got to be great. But I thought it was, it was definitely.
But I think that's the interesting comparison though, is that obviously like Dune had to self-contain itself, because there might not have been a second part because they've not even produced it. Here, it's already filmed. Part 3 is filmed. That's in editing now. So it was like they could take the liberty of going, well, part 2 is coming, so we don't have to contain this film.
No. Kev's lost his house, but part 2's coming.
Yeah.
Kev's living in a trailer on the back of the lot, but.
But yeah, it's then you just question it. Does that make a director or producer make bad decisions or not? I don't know. It's an interesting question. But yeah, apart from that,
when part 2 comes out, whether they'll be replaying part 1 as well for those that missed
it. 6-hour session.
Well, not just to watch together, but just so those that haven't seen part 1 can catch up. I don't know.
It probably will, because it's only just come out here really, and that's coming out in August, so it'll probably circulate in the same time, I'd imagine.
We'll say though, if you love westerns, if you love Kevin Costner films, go and see it. If you've not had the chance to go yet, go and watch it. Sit there, get comfortable, 3 hours, get yourself a big box of popcorn and just lose yourself in that world. Like I said, one of the greatest things about it was it does feel like a great novel. If you read something like War and Peace or something, the first book is going to be just a lot of introducing you to different characters, putting them into different situations and stuff, and they're all going to come together afterwards. And I thought this film, for all of its ambition, it did feel expansive, and it did feel like, there's lots to get your teeth stuck into here. It
was very classical in that way in its storytelling, and as you say, it's a great western. If you enjoy westerns, you should enjoy this. It was brilliant world building. The cinematography was fantastic. What they were trying to do is great. So yeah, it's an enjoyable watch.
He's using Native American actors, telling things from a Native American point of view, which is very important in terms of revisionist westerns and doing that part right as well. So
it is, and hopefully
it gives a voice to that plight, I think, which is a good thing.
It does. It's representative of both sides of what's going on. It's not just. It's not a 1950s Western where we're coming in and just whitewashing it all, which is obviously what these more revisionist Westerns have done since the 90s. So, yeah, it's all very positive in that sense. But, yeah, it's very enjoyable, and hopefully part 2 really sells the whole thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully. But
I'm up for it. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go and watch it and see. But, yeah, there we go. It's a thumbs up. It's a 3-hour thumbs up.
It is.
Thanks very much for watching this video. We really appreciate it. The best way to support our channel is by giving us a like and subscribing. Other ways to support us include buymeacoffee.com or become a patron over on patreon.com. This video is also sponsored by funkytshirts.co.uk, so check out their website for a whole range of cool and funky t-shirt designs. All the links are in the description.